I have a problem and I need a redstone solution. I have this little desert well shriny type thing. You come up and you see, oh look, it's an entrance to something. It's an entrance to an abandoned temple, which is a distraction and smokescreen from the real purpose, the skeleton farm. I've just elevated them a little so we don't get the noise of death through entity cramming. Now I want to be able to come in here and harvest skellies without having husks and creepers coming down to complain about the noise. I don't want them disturbing me, and more to the point, I don't want them working out where I am. So I want a 2x2 flush piston door, also known as a yeb door, with a hidden input. I don't want any visible levers or buttons or redstone torches or anything like that. No visible sign. I found a couple of tutorials that each one did a bit of what I wanted. So I mashed them together and put my own spin on it. And I came up with a solution. I'll show you what I need and then let's build my solution together. So I will need, for my flush piston door with hidden input, 4 observers, 13 sticky pistons, 1 block of redstone, 6 repeaters, 1 comparator, 1 chest, 2 redstone lamps, although the lamps are optional, 3 hoppers, 1 rail, which is temporary, 1 hopper minecart, 1 wooden button, can be any wood you like but must be wooden, some redstone dust, some random blocks. So let's get building. Here's a mock-up I made of our little temple area. So these stairs go up to the surface, they go down to the temple, and this gap goes down to the skelly farm. We might knock these out and just put some stairs in. There we are. All right, so that goes down to the skelly farm. Now the solution I came up with, and this is how I work with redstone, I look for what other people have done because I'm not good at redstone. I can get it, but it takes me a bit. So what I'm doing as my solution is a mashup of Avamance's 2x2 flush piston door and Hex Regulus's secret input and my own little tweaks and pushes. So we'll start with the piston door first. 1 block in from the space that we want our door to be, and we put 4 pistons facing inwards. Do the same on the other side, and then 2 sticky pistons 90 degrees facing forwards. Same on the other side. There we go. And whatever we want our wall block to be goes in that little gap in the pistons. So you end up with a little L shape of pistons and your wall blocks. Now the next thing we're going to do is cover over the top of the pistons and the gap. Now that gap between the pistons, redstone dust forming a square. And then we want repeaters facing out, 2 on that side and 2 on this side. Join them up with redstone dust. And the 2 repeaters that are closest to the front, you want to put them on 2 ticks. That is our piston door done. Now at the moment it stays permanently open, but if we pop a button up here, there you are, it's closed, it's open again. I'm leaving the button there for the moment because this thing can misfire while you're building and it gets itself into all sorts of a jumble, blocks pushed out and pistons not cooperating, and you reset the whole thing just by pressing the button. It all works in the end, it's just a misfire in the middle can make a little bit of a mess. Now we want this door to stay shut until such time as we open it, and I want the means of opening it to not be visible. So I'm going to use Hex Regulus's mechanism. I'll put a link to it down in the description. I'll put a link to Avamance's door tutorial in the description as well. Now to make our hidden mechanism, the first thing I need to do is work out where I want it to be, and I want it to be here. So I've got to knock out these 4 blocks and then I knock out the 2 blocks that were under them, the block that's under the sticky pistons, and if there was a block here, I'd knock that out as well. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to put a chest down, so you can see that it's actually sitting 2 blocks below the pistons and 1 block out. And now I want to run a hopper line from the chests. So 1, 2, and the 3rd one there. And if we come down here, let's get rid of these. You can see that they are all pointing down into the chest. Next thing, shift click a rail on top of the hopper and put a hopper minecart on top of the rail. Now this next bit's a little tricky. I'm going to take that block out. I'm going to carefully remove the rail and I'm going to replace the block that I took out. Now if you have a look, when we removed the rail, the cart has turned itself sideways. So I'm going to gently push it and I'm going to just keep nudging it until I can sort of nudge it into that block as much as I can. Whoops. That's better. See, it's more or less straightened itself up. That is straight enough. Pop a block back. And there we go. Yeah, there, the cart has now righted itself. So we're going to put back our missing blocks for our door. If we push the button, the door's back to functioning normally. And if I throw a block or an item, let's put the rail in. There we are, it vanished. We come down here, it's in the chest. Now, when an item's in a chest, it actually puts out a redstone signal. So if we put anything random in there and we put a comparator behind, you can see that there is a signal going into the comparator. Take it out and it's gone. We want to use that signal, the signal of an item being thrown down and coming into the chest, to make this door open. Now at the moment the door is constantly open. We will change it so it's constantly shut. But first things first. And here is where I diverge a little from hex regulus. So I'm going to put a dot of redstone after the comparator, and I'm going to put a repeater at right angles. So we end up with this little setup. Next thing I need is an observer, and we're going to make an observer tower going up. So shift and place the observer. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. And they've all got to face up. Now I'm just going to put a little roof on this. There we are. Now the next thing I'm going to do is make a T flip-flop, because an item going into the chest will cause this to light up. We'll have a look. And the observer sees it and sends a pulse up. But it's a pulse, and we want to turn that pulse into a steady signal so that while there's something in that chest, this circuit keeps this door open. So let's take that item out. So to change it from a pulse to a steady signal, we're going to put a solid block on top of the observer. We're going to put a sticky piston on the back of the block. We're going to put a redstone block onto the sticky piston. And we're going to add an extra little dot of redstone to run out of this circuit so that when the redstone block moves, it'll power our circuit. And if you're adding lights, now is the time to add them. Knock out these 2 that are over the path of the stairs, pop in your redstone lamps and a dot of redstone on top so that both lamps will be powered. So what we're going to do now, I'll pop a block into the chest. We'll see what happens. What will happen is when there's something in the chest, the doors will close, which is the opposite of what we want, but it's a start. There we go. So as you can see, The pulse has come up from the repeater. It's caused this sticky piston to spit out its block because it's a 1-tick pulse. This only works on Java. Sorry to the Bedrock people. If Mojang have changed things and it now works on Bedrock, let me know. So it's now powering our circuit for our door and both our lights. And when we take the block out, it sends a pulse back up, which fires the piston and picks the block back up, pulling it out of the way. But what we want now is to reverse this status. So we're going to pop something in. That'll close the door. We're going to break the repeater. We're going to remove the item from the chest, and we're going to put the repeater back in. So now the redstone block is over, this circuit is powered, our lights are powered, and the door, most importantly, is shut. So if I come round and throw something in, the repeater will do. There we are, one door. Remove the repeater and the door closes. But when I want to get out, that's not going to be very secure. We need a means to open it from this side that closes it behind us. That's actually quite simple to do. What I'm going to do first though is just build up a little wall either side of our stairs. And because we want to access this chest, I'll use an upside down stair so I can still open it. You could also use a slab or a transparent block like glass or something. It's up to you. And I'm going to put a button on the block next to the chest. At the moment that does nothing, that's okay. On the other side of this block, I'm going to put a repeater going into the side of this repeater. Now the thing about a signal from a repeater going into the side of another repeater is that the second repeater gets locked. While there's power in this one will stay locked and the observer will notice that. So there we are, that's locked and the signal went off and now it's unlocked. And if we have a look at our doors, there we are. So the observer is picking up that change of state in the repeater each time and it gives us just enough time to walk out. I didn't have to sprint or rush, I was just able to walk out. So there we are. One flush with the wall, hidden input, secret door.